comes out on Wednesday, the 15th of December. This really sounds like an ad. It isn't. I wish I was sponsored by Sony. That would be amazing. So, yeah, I figured it's a perfect opportunity to do a tier list ahead of that. I plan to rewatch all 8 of these films in the sort of run up to the film. I probably should have done that before I did this tier list just to refresh, but honestly, I've watched the films enough times to, have this opinion. Now, that word opinion, I'm just gonna do the little spiel at the beginning. I know for a fact that this list is gonna annoy a lot of people, but I will say, we'll talk about this as we go through, but nothing annoys me more than people jumping on bandwagons, and I personally feel that people are so quick to hate on certain movies just because, there's influenced so much by what other people say and think on social media and stuff. I am not like that, and I think my list definitely reflects this, and you can probably guess from the list roughly who my favourite Spider-Men are. I guess not, but yeah, this is completely my opinion, and I know it's not the typical list, but then should there really be a typical list? Because opinions are subjective, right? And everyone's entitled to their opinion, so rather than barraging me with a load of hate comments, simply comment your list down below and we can compare and maybe give some reasons for your bottom film and your top film, etc, etc. And let me know who your favourite Spider-Man is out of Andrew, Toby, and of course Thomas. So yeah, No Way Home. I, for one, have my tickets booked. I'm so disappointed. I don't know about you guys, so disappointed that they're not doing a midnight premiere. I think that generally would have been incredible. It would have been Endgame levels, and I did a midnight premiere for Endgame, although the crowd was pretty dead, so. But yeah, I've got it booked for 7 PM on the Wednesday, and then I've got tickets for an 8 PM showing on the Friday as well. So, yeah. But yeah, I truly love these films. I know Spider-Man's a favourite, but yeah, he is my favourite, as you can tell by the sort of comic posters in the background. But anyways, I have waffled well and truly enough. Let's get into this tier list and begin with spot number 8. Okay, I'm going to hurt a lot of people with this one. Coming in at number 8, I've got SpiderMan Homecoming. Now, when I make film tier lists, one of the main things I sort of think about is sort of rewatchability, and in terms of rewatchability, out of even thinking about all the wider MCU movies, Spider-Man Homecoming is quite low down for me in terms of rewatchability. I can't quite put my finger on it, and it has some good moments and stuff. Michael Keaton as Vulture is amazing and really does bring the movie up a level, but I don't know, my issue with the Tom Holland series of Spider-Man films, both in Far From Home and Homecoming, is that I don't like the side characters a lot, and by a lot I mean not at all really. I quite like Ned and I like MJ, but then the other school characters, especially in Homecoming, they give them all 1 or 2 lines, try and be funny. I found Flash super annoying. It feels more like a kid's film to me. I don't know if you guys can sort of relate to that, and obviously it's got Iron Man in and stuff, and as I said, Vulture really does save it a bit, but for me, it was good watching it the first couple of times, but now I don't need to watch it again. I will as part of my Spider-Man binge because it needs to be ticked off, but to me, out of the 8 films, it's just the one now I enjoy the least, so it takes the 8th spot, but nothing against Tom Holland, of course. Now, coming in at number 7 is a film I think people frequently put bottom, and that is SpiderMan III. This film has some really. Let me just say one thing. Just because films are bottom or low down doesn't mean I don't like them. I don't hate a single Spider-Man movie. I enjoy them all. They're all good. They all have their good moments and good parts. SpiderMan III has some really, really good moments. But they just shouldn't have done Venom. If they'd have literally left it about Sandman, because actually Sandman is such a good villain in this film. He has a good motive about his daughter and stuff, and there are some actually really quite touching moments with Sandman. And I don't think this was the director's fault, honestly. I think there was a lot of studio interference. They just crammed Venom in, and he looked and sounded stupid. And yeah, they tried to do too much in one film. They should have done Sandman and then done the fourth film with Venom, and it would have been a near perfect quadrilogy. Is that the right word? Quadrilogy. But instead, you've got two really good films, or amazing films, I'll say, and then this one which just it swings a lot and it misses, but it does have some really, really good moments in it, and obviously it's given us so many amazing memes. I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye, and just dancing Peter is just incredible. I would love it if they are in No Way Home. He comes out the portal, and the moment the portal comes is that moment where he's coming out the bar with his fringe and he dances out. It would just be amazing, but I mean that's not going to happen, is it? But anyways, yes, SpiderMan III is in 7th spot. Now in the 6th spot, we have the other MCU Spider-Man movie, Far From Home. Honestly, I keep thinking I'm messing up the names because home is in all of them and it just throws me off. But yeah, this is a difficult one for me. For me, Spider-Man III and Homecoming are sort of apart from the rest. I really enjoyed Far From Home. The CGI sequence where Mysterio eventually ends up in Spider-Man being hit by a train, that whole sequence with zombie Iron Man and is just absolutely beautiful. I remember like watching that in the cinema and verbally going, holy shit, like it is genuinely incredible. And I for one think Jake Gyllenhaal was brilliant as Mysterio, as he's going to be is Jake Gyllenhaal. But I really hope that he's not dead and that we get him in a Sinister Six movie in the future. Just hope he's playing the strings somehow behind the scenes. But yeah, again, there's some goofy moments in it, but obviously there's goofy moments in all MCU movies because it's Disney now, and normally I don't mind it and normally it's funny. For some reason I don't like the majority of the sort of side comic relief characters. That's what really sort of ruined it for me, unfortunately. And but there's some amazing scenes in it. I like the Spider Monkey suit, and the scene where he closes his eyes and uses the Peter Dingle is, you know, arguably one of the best Spider-Man fighting sequences we've had out of all 8 films. Like honestly, it was brilliantly done. But yeah, for me, similar to Homecoming, but a much improvement. Honestly, it's relatively close to Spider-Man III, maybe. Oh, I don't know. This is the thing. This list could change tomorrow, as my MCU sort of tier list often does as well. But yeah, we're sticking with it for now. Spider-Man Far From Home, number 6. Now we move on to the number 5 slot. Now this is probably going to wind a lot of people up, but I have Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse, obviously the sort of cartoon focusing on Miles Morales. Now, here's possibly one of my more controversial opinions. I think this film is massively overrated, not in the sense that it isn't good, but it's at the top of so many people's lists, and like, I don't know what it is. Don't get me wrong, I really, really enjoyed this movie, but me personally, it doesn't get into the top 4 because I'm personally just not a big fan of like cartoon films. Like that's literally what it boils down to. If I like cartoon films, yeah, sure, it would probably be a top 2 Spider-Man film. as, you know, the stories, the dialogue, and obviously the action sequences. But for me, the fact it's a cartoon just stops me from getting as invested as I can with live action films, if that makes sense. So still a really good movie, and I would love to see they do like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit style thing where that Miles Morales comes out in No Way Home. I think that would be super cool, but I highly doubt they will do that, but you never know. But yeah, this soundtrack in it is absolutely amazing. But yeah, for me it comes in at number 5. Now speaking of soundtrack and the word amazing, coming in at number 4, I got the amazing SpiderMan II. This film is so overhated, it is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'm gonna go into rant mode here. I need to remember filming an ASMR video. Speak nice and slowly. But I don't know what it is, but, well, I know what the main grievances are, and I understand them to an extent, but for people to, like, rank this the worst Spider-Man movie, you're an absolute moron if you think that. Hans Zimmer was involved in the soundtrack, and the soundtrack and sound design in this film is arguably the best sound design in any Spider-Man film. Electro's theme, I really hope they play it in No Way Home, but Electro's theme is genuinely incredible, and while, yes, Electro looks very stupid, I agree, big blue alien, whatever, he shouldn't look like that. When he appears with that theme, he is menacing, but Electro's backstory not the strongest, I understand that, and again, this film suffers from that SpiderMan III type thing of trying to shoehorn in too many heroes. They shouldn't have crammed Green Goblin into the end, it didn't really make sense and it made the rest of the story feel rushed, I get that, but when his presence is there, Harry/Green Goblin, he puts Peter through pain he hasn't, well, I was going to say he hasn't felt before, but it's a different pain, because obviously he went through the pain of Uncle Ben, and then Gwen, so, like, he causes that, and when I watched that for the first time, I really did not expect it, and I commend the directors, writers, etc. for actually going with that route. And, you know, obviously it shows him grieving and Spider-Man going away for a while, but I think it would have been perfect if the film ended there with him hanging up the Spider-Man suit and closing. The film finishes when he closes his cupboard door, and then we get the third, which sees him come back and ultimately possibly die at the end, but just to like perfectly round off his trilogy and maybe have Green Goblin in that third one, and that would have made sense because he's gonna come back out of retirement, out of mourning, to fight his once best friend kind of thing. But then Gwen wouldn't be dead if Green Goblin wasn't in the second one. That's a bit of waffle from me, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. But still, this film is massively overhated, and the fact that they, you know, Uncle Ben dying is, you know, very common. It's obviously in the original trilogy, and you know, it's one of the main pieces that makes Spider-Man, Peter, etc. But to have Gwen's death as well, so we have two people close to Peter, to Andrew's Peter, dying in successive movies. This is what I really like about the Amazing Spider-Man films, is they're a little bit darker, they're a little bit grittier, and I know Spider-Man's meant to be this like jokey, fun hero, accessible for everyone, and that's what the MCU movies do very well. But for me, I just get the most out of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and Andrew is my favourite Spider-Man. I'm just going to say that. Andrew is my favourite Spider-Man. But yeah, TASM 2, criminally overhated. Does it have problems? Yes, but overhated, absolutely. So now we move on to my top 3, and in third place we have Spider-Man 1, the original Spider-Man Tobey Maguire movie. was a film which came out when I was relatively young. I'm 24 now. I'm not sure how old I would have been when this came out. I remember vividly SpiderMan II coming out, but I think I actually, when I was younger, watched SpiderMan II before I watched SpiderMan 1, and then I just watched them both like a lot. But SpiderMan 1, it just is so good, isn't it? Like the fight scenes and the swinging and all of that business still hold up so well today. You know, it's funny, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin there's just nobody better to play Green Goblin. He is absolutely brilliant, and obviously it's like quite a typical origin story film. We see the spider bite and Uncle Ben dying, etc. All of that business is just great. It's just such a great movie to just constantly go back to, and you can go back to it and watch it and not be bored, because it is brilliant, and the end fight scene with Green Goblin is really cool. So yeah, there's not really anything too negative to say about it. A few cringe moments, but all of these films are they're Spider-Man movies. Like, they're not all gonna be perfect. Well, apart from the film that's number 1 in my opinion. So in number 2, I have The Amazing Spider-Man. As I said, these films are a little bit darker, a little bit grittier in a way. I for one just love this film. I just go back to this film relatively regularly and can just watch it and be so invested as I was the first time watching it. So some of the fight scenes in this are so cool. There's the scene where Andrew fights Lizard in the school, and he's like crawling over him and webbing him up. Like, he moves so much like an actual spider. I just love that, and I love, like, for me, the suit in The Amazing Spider-Man 1 is my favourite Spider-Man suit. That's another factor why it gets number 2. But I'm not a fan of the big eyes in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I know it's relatively more comic accurate, depending what comics you're basing it off. But yeah, Lizard, not the most strong, villain, but all the other elements of this, we have the Uncle Ben's death, and Andrew is just such a phenomenal actor. Like, he acts so brilliantly in reacting to Uncle Ben's death, and then obviously with Gwen's death, like, literally broke me in number 2, but we're talking about number 1 now. But yeah, not much else to say in that. I just love this movie. And then that, of course, leaves at the top spot SpiderMan 2. For me, this film is just clear. For me, it's just clear. The fight scenes hold up so well. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock is just incredible. It's got absolutely everything in it. Like, there's not much to say. This, I believe, it was either this or Fantastic Four, the original one. I think it was Spider-Man 2, was the first ever superhero DVD that I owned. So this film is what started my love for superhero films, so there's so much nostalgia attached to it, and then on top of the fact that you can go back and watch it, it holds up today, and it's just brilliant. That's why it gets my number 1 spot. I couldn't be happier that Molina is returning as Doc Ock in No Way Home, and I just hope he gets lots of screen time. I remember as a kid, there's the one scene in Spider-Man 2 where Doc Ock is in the medical room, like, asleep, and then the arms come back to life and they're like moving like behind, and then they just sort of savagely kill all the doctors and surgeons. I remember as a kid that absolutely terrifying me, and it's still scary now. The sounds in that, so freaky. But yeah, so top spot Spider-Man 2, second spot TASM 1, third spot the original Spider-Man, fourth we've got TASM 2, fifth Into the SpiderVerse, sixth Far From Home, seventh SpiderMan III, and finally Homecoming. I'm not putting Venom in, just because it doesn't count. But yeah guys, like I said, be kind. I know this list isn't going to align with everyone's, but that's the beauty of opinion and independence, isn't it? We can all have our views, but please do comment down below your order and who is your Spider-Man. Rank them if you like. I don't really want to choose a bottom one because I think they're all good in their own way, but Andrew, I just love Andrew, to be honest. In real life and as Peter, please love me. Anyways guys, I really hope you did enjoy this video and bring on No Way Home. I will be doing a review on it, a spoiler-free part and a spoiler part, so look forward to that shortly after the film comes out. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and until the next video.